the aspiring Ridgewood DJs come to fulfill their DJ dreams?
So today I have 2 mixes to record for friends' radio shows. And I have a bunch of new music that I want to go through to prepare for my 2 shows that I have in January. So yeah, lots of music to go through, lots of work. People come here to party, but they're not supposed to. Really, DJs come here to record mixes because this is like club standard equipment. So you come here to practice, listen to music on a really loud sound system to get the feeling that you're in the club. So this right here, this is the key to the car right here. This is what fires up the whole party. That's my USB. It has around 4,500 songs on there. And I mean, it's the holiest, the holiest. It's the most important tool in the DJ's toolkit. I grew up on stage. I grew up as a child actor back in Poland. My father was an actor. I guess I'm kind of a Nepo baby, but it got me comfortable being in the spotlight. And as I grew up, I felt that I was missing that. I was missing being in the spotlight. At first, when I moved here from Poland, I didn't really make friends until like junior year of high school and was just kind of blending in with the background, with the wallpaper. I really was missing that piece of being seen and really having the opportunity to express myself creatively. And so fast forward to entering corporate America, there was a gaping hole in my soul, not even exaggerating. And then that changed once I started making music, once I started DJing, seeing my tracks that I've made in my bedroom played in some of the biggest clubs all over the world. Makes me feel like I exist, makes me feel appreciated. For me, music making and DJing is about myself. I don't feel like I make music, I feel like I'm just writing down my thoughts. I really dive into my own psyche, my own ego when I sit down at my computer and start making music and start interrogating the kind of emotions that I'm feeling at that particular moment and what I want others to feel when they hear it on the dance floor. Which I know sounds corny because we're making techno. It's not that deep at the end of the day. It's uns music. But the fun thing is that you can make happy uns music. You can make intriguing uns music. So, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different ways to convey that. But for me, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm doing it for other people because I'm not. I'm doing it for me. I like screens. I'm a very visual DJ, which is, I'm sure it upsets a lot of the old heads. We're just like, you should only be using your ears, which is true. But like, the screens show you the track. They visualize the sound waves. You can know where the drop is, you know where the kick comes in. It's all to help you just make this easier so you can just focus on the next song. So you can focus on the crowd and not so much on the technique. Feel me? I never considered myself a hardware or like a gear head, right? Like I was never good with tinkering with computers. DJing is a lot of things. Rocket science is not one of them. It is not hard to pick up. There's a lot of buttons, but they all serve a purpose, and it's quite intuitive. Once you actually figure out the principles of what music is, that there are high frequencies, mid frequencies, and low frequencies, that there are all sorts of different effects that you can do on that. All the buttons start making sense. And the more time you spend at a studio like this, actually working on club standard equipment, the more comfortable you're gonna get with it, and it's all gonna start making sense. When it comes to actually doing the gig, I look at the crowd. Is it a casual crowd? Are they more interested in talking, or are they there to fucking party? Producing is a whole different ballgame because the possibilities are limitless. There's, like with cooking, There's so many different ways to, for example, cook an egg. A lot of philosophy when it comes to arrangements and what works on the dance floor. I remember Ace famously said, you know, you always got to think about the dancers when you're making dance music. I got my mind, baby. Come on, get it, girl. A lot of people are gonna tell you that there are no rules, which is bullshit. You gotta grease the pan first. You start with, you know, one thing before you add another thing. It could be starting with the bass. It could be starting with a hat pattern. It could be starting with a melody, an idea, a feeling, a moment. And then comes the technical aspect. And the technical aspect you get better at the more you do it, just like with everything else, right? The 10,000 hour rule. I like to start with something that is a loop. It can be 4 bars, 8 bars, and then kind of build on top of that. What do I add? What do I subtract? And on a good day, 10, 15 minutes, I have an idea down. If it takes you longer than an hour, scrap it, start over. So beautiful. It is a lot of work on a very competitive, if not the most competitive scene in the world. New York City, right here. This is what DJs in Europe on the biggest stages and festivals around the world, this is what they're copying. What's happening in Bushwick, what's happening in Brooklyn, right? We have a saying, we don't give a fuck how they do it in Berlin. You really have to have the grit, you need to have the hustle, you need to really put in a lot of time into making a flyer design that's gonna catch people's attention, actually reaching out, emailing people, getting comfortable with being told no and rejection. You gotta be outside. You have to be outside. You have to keep going to these parties. You got to keep talking to people. You got to keep networking. You got to keep building that community so that when you actually throw a party, people show up. You got to be outside. Get out there all the time. That's the life of a DJ. You're always partying, but you're not partying because you're doing business. All right. Gotta make sure all the faders and knobs are centered and proper so that I'm not leaving a mess behind, because nobody likes a messy DJ.